Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Mark Bruce with Fit Strength Performance, and today I'm going to talk about how to prepare for a heavy lift. Now, this isn't just for individuals that like to lift really, really heavy. It isn't for individuals who aren't interested in strength training at all, because what I'm going to talk about is really going to highlight how you just prepare your body to do anything athletically. So this can be transposed into anything, but I'm going to highlight, strength training, lifting heavier loads, but the same concepts can be applied anywhere. Why am I doing this? So what I see a lot from young athletes, even, intermediate athletes, and even older adults who work out, when they're lifting heavy weight or getting ready to lift heavy weight, they just jump right into their lift. And, a lot of times they may get hurt. A lot of times they're not even sure, like, what's the difference between a 10-pound bumper and a 45-pound bumper. And they just grab it. It all looks the same. It all feels the same. And there's no proper progression. There's no proper preparation for the body. So this is going to be a video for anyone interested in lifting weight, any coach, any athlete, any parent, anyone who's really trying to take their performance to a higher level and using the strength, the weight room and performance training as a driver to assist with that. So first things first, KPIs, key performance indicators. What that is when, if I'm lifting 135, 185, 225, 315, 405, whatever it might be, there's things you want to prepare your body to be able to do, prepare your mind, and make sure that you are going to be injury-free, but also perform at an optimal level. So number one, prepare your body before you lift. Don't just go into the weight room, put your backpack down, and start lifting, because that's how you're going to get hurt. And that's also how you're going to miss out on specific gains, miss out on the benefits of working out. And even for, older individuals, right? Don't just go into the weight room. Don't just turn on your TV and start, squats, presses, doing some, low impact, even running, so to speak. Don't just start running. So you want to prepare your body, whether it's 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, whether it's foam rolling and doing like some light hopping and skipping. A lot of times people are struggling with their hip mobility. So you want to make sure that you're preparing your body. Next, know what your goal is. What are you trying to do that day? You're lifting really, really heavy, or are you lifting submaximally? So try to envision what you're going to do. The other day, my goal was to hit like a heavy double or a heavy triple. That's what I knew to do, so I knew how to prepare and progress for that. So make sure you know what you're going to do. Number three, listen to your body. If today's not a good day, don't try to go heavy. Even don't try to go really heavy with higher volume. Listen to your body, because that's how you can get hurt. Number four, leave your ego at the door. Right? If you're someone that, I need to hit 315 today, I need to lift it. I need to be the strongest one in this weight room today. Or if you see someone lifting next to you, I need to be at that same person's level. Check your ego, man, because that's how you get hurt. So leave that ego at the door. It's about you getting better, you feeling good, you feeling better after your workout. Last one, always start light and build up to your top sets. Right. So this is called potentiation. I see a lot of times individuals get into that weight room and they just, I'm going to bench 135 today. So what do? You put 25 on, then 135 on. You want to potentiate your body. You want to build up so you can really see those results and, reach your highest potential that training session. So that one kind of mimics number one by preparing your body. But you want to build up, and you're going to see within these weight descriptions, these examples, is how you can potentiate to see optimal results and to feel really good during your training sessions, so you feel better after the training session. Okay, so the first example is going to be a novice individual, right? Someone who is, lifting 135, so this is, if you look at the top, 135 for three rep max. So to me, if this is an individual, they're probably novice, probably young, probably undersized. I don't really consider an athlete or an individual, at an intermediate or an advanced or elite level, unless they can hit, if we're talking trap bar, 1.5 to 1.9 1.9 times their body weight. That 1.5 would be that intermediate, and a leader advanced would be 1.9 times their body weight. So if you have a young novice individual, and let's say you tested their 3-rep max and they hit 135, I'm not going to equate this to 140 or 145, because typically that 3-rep max is going to be their 100%, because the difference between 1, 2, and 3 reps is an injury. So I know that if someone hits 3 reps comfortably, they are okay. And we can count that. It's going to be fine as their 3-rep max estimation or their 1 RM estimation. So if you look at this progression, and you notice with, for the first progression, we got hypertrophy and acclimation, and then we have strength, absolute strength, and power. There's nothing in that block for strength and absolute strength, because this individual is only lifting 135 pounds. There's no need to tackle, quote unquote, percentages for strength or percentages for absolute strength or power, right? We need to just build that engine up and start from ground zero. But if I have an individual who's only able to lift 135, this is what that first block or first 2 to 3 blocks will look like from a hypertrophy acclimation standpoint. And we're going to be at that 6 to 8 rep range, because for compound lifts, I don't want to go beyond, 8 reps, because that individual probably lacks coordination, probably less muscular size. And this could be an injury if we start pushing 8, 10, 12, 15 reps at a back squat, front squat, trap bar deadlift, RDL, bench press. So I'm going to stick between 6 and 8 reps, most likely that 6 rep range. So if you look at, week 1, if you're listening to this and you only hit 135 for your lifts, then you should follow this to a T. Your first set should be 65, your second set should be 85, and then you're probably going to hit 95 for 3 sets, just because I don't want you to hit 135 every single time. I want you to comfortably get acclimated, hence acclimation. And then every week, you notice we start, doing more of a conjugate method where we're going to hit a top set every time. So if the week prior, I know you hit 95 pounds comfortably, well, then I know week 2, we're going to bump it up to 105, and then we're going to hit that for 2 to 3 sets, or we could potentially even do 115 depending on the individual. For someone who's really young and someone who's really new, I want you feeling good and confident after your session, instead of, tense and timid because you're unsure about going heavier. So if you just increase load by a little bit every week, you're going to see solid gains and solid results. So then we look at week 3, first set, still 65. Why are we still going to do that? Well, that's going to build coordination, still going to stimulate. So if you're an athlete looking to gain muscular size, right, that hypertrophic effect is going to occur because you're still lifting more volume, more load. So that's going to help build your muscle. Then we have week 3, 65, 85, 95, 105, 115. And then week 4, we're going to go, 65, 85, 95, 105, 115. And then we're going to hit a 6 set at 125. But we may hit 135 on that 4th week and see what you can get. Because if you did 135 for 3 your first week, and then you can enter week 4 with 135 for 6 to 8 reps, right? That's gains, that's strength, that's size, that's hypertrophy. That's what we want to see. And we did it linearly. This is that, linear periodization where there's no injuries. And this is, how I like the program. And now we turn into that conjugate method because we have to factor in time too. Time is always of an essence. So if I want to do, 3 working sets at 135, you're hitting 7 to 8 sets, and that could take some time. So for our novice lifters who are only going to hit, a lighter load for that, 1 RM, this is how that progression is going to look like from week 1 to week 4. So next, if we look at an individual who can do 185, 3 rep max, or if this is the second month of that same individual and we've actually seen that they can do 185, this is what their progression would look like, building up from set 1 to set 5, 6, or 7. Now you notice we can start to get to that strength, that strength adaptation. But again, I'm not really looking for absolute strength and or power because we haven't built that, functional strength base yet. A lot of times people, you want to get to this dynamic effort kind of training or this PAP training, yet your athlete or your client isn't strong yet. They can't really load their body. They can't control their loads. And for these lifts, we're going to go tempo as well. And I should have put it in here. But we're going to always treat it at that 3-second tempo to work on that eccentric loading. So if we look at someone who has 185 3-rep max, which could be 200 or 205, we're still going to target that 185. So what it looks like from the hypertrophy acclimation standpoint, because if I get an athlete in their first month and this is what they did that first session with me, I still know I need to build some more metabolic capacity. I need to build that capacity to handle more load and stress. So what it could look like is now this individual, their first set will be 95 pounds. And then their second set, 115, 125, 135. And then now we're going to do one top set at 155. Something that we can't overlook for young athletes and even adults is stress. So I don't want to plug in 2, 3, 4, 5 sets at 155 because that's what the books say. So then that second week, we're gonna hit a top set 10 or 15, maybe 20 pounds heavier, depending on what they're entering in. So set 1 through 5 would be 95, 115, 135, 155, 165. Week 3, still starting at 95 because I want to make sure they're good that day. Sometimes 95 could feel really, really light, so I know they're going to have a good session. Sometimes 95 could feel kind of heavy, so I know we need to pull back a little bit. So then we're going to hit a top set at 165. And then week 4, now we're going to retest that 185 for a 6 to 8 rep max, because if they only did 185 for 3 reps, but now they can double it after 1 month, that's progress. So if we look at this strength phase, what we're going to do is, we're going to go week 1 and we're going to stick to that 4 to 6 rep range because we're trying to target strength. So that could be 4, that could be 1 set of 4, that could be 1 set of 5, that could be 1 set of 6, whatever it might be. So similar to the hypertrophy. But what we do from week 1, 2, 3, and 4 when we're targeting strength, this week 1, if I put it in, it might be 6 reps. Week 2 might be 5 reps. Week 3 and 4 might be 4 reps, because we want to make sure that they're moving smoothly. And typically for strength, you should be able to hit 80% for that strength phase, for max strength, for 4 to 5 reps. So that would be, that last week, trying to make sure that they're moving well and moving safe. So as you see, we have set 1, 95, finishing at 155 for 1 set of 6. Week 2 could be 95 again for that first set, building up 115, 135, 155, 165, and that would be 165 for 5 reps. Week 3, we would hit, 175 for 4 reps, and then week 4, we'll go set 1 at 95, set 2 at 115, set 3 at 135, set 4 at 155, set 5 at 175, set 6 at 185, and asterisk this because we may retest for set 6 for anywhere from we'll test for a max effort on that last month. So this is how this one could look. What I like to do with my athletes is, what are you feeling that day? And let's stay within that range. Let's stay to a 7 intensity, 8 intensity, 9 intensity, and let's see what you can hit. Because some weeks athletes might be really rested. Other weeks they could be exhausted. So this is where, we want to, check in to see where they're at. And I like to do the Rpe scales. So this is how we would handle someone who's coming in with 185 3RM. But this could be the same for like 205 too. All right, so now if we're looking at someone with a 225 3RM, so truth be told, if I have an individual like this, I'm probably still sticking with hypertrophy, acclimating him with their first month, as well as strength. Why? Well, from an athletic standpoint, I was a point guard in college and in high school, right? So as a point guard trying to be an elite level player at 6 foot, you should probably be about 175, give or take, 170 to 190, maybe 160 to 185, something along those lines. So that means that you're probably undersized if you're hitting 225 and where you're at. So I want you to gain some size a little bit if you're in high school. So this is where I'm probably not reaching that absolute strength, that 3 to 5 rep max yet. And then also for any new athlete, an adult, I want to build the capacity again. So I'm not really going to hit them day one with 3 or 5 reps, seeing really where they're at. I'm going to build and acclimate. So very similar to what the other ones look like. So if we look at that 225, for week 1, I'm still going to start at 95 pounds because I want to groove the engine, make sure that they're moving well. And then we'll finish at 155 for hypertrophy, 155 for 3 sets. So 95, 135, 155 for 3, just because, right now we have some more time. We kind of know where they're at. And now I want to put on a little more density, to see where they're at. And because we're working with that 6 to 8 rep range, 155, I believe, was about 70% of that 225. So this is where I'll stop there because now we're still focusing on tempo. We're going with that 3 to 5 reps, or 4 to 6 seconds of that tempo. And then week 2, starting at 95, doing 2 sets at 165. Week 3, 95, doing 1 top set at 175 for 6 reps at that tempo. And then week 4, we're going to retest at 180 and see where they're at. And now this can lead well into that strength phase. Or if I have an athlete coming in and let's say they're 150 pound point guard or anything like that, and they're lifting, and, they may weigh, 100 and, call it 60 pounds. That means their max is 320, maybe we'll jump to that strength phase, but again, most likely we'll do month 1 at the hypertrophy acclimation, month 2 at the strength. And if it's someone's working on that strength, this is what it looks like. 95 for that first set, 180, because again, this will be for 6 reps. Probably, most likely, ideally for this, asterisk it all, it'll probably be for 5. Everything will be for 5, and this last one will be for 4 reps. It could be 3 to 4. Retesting for 3 to 4. So if we did 5 reps at 180, building up, 95, 135, 155, 170, 180. Week 2, 95, 135, 155, 175, 185. And here's where, I leave it up to the athlete. If they think they could do 195 or 200, then they can do that for week 2. And same thing for week 3, 195 for 5 reps. But if they're feeling good, they can bump it up to 205 or 215. And then the last week, right, we're going to figure this out. Maybe it's 205 for as many as they can get. Maybe they keep building. Maybe they work back up to 225 and see how many they can get for that. So this is where we do that Rpe scale of week 1 is going to be, 6 to 7. Week 2 is that 7 to 8. Week 3 is, 8 to 9. Week 4, let's see what they can do because we build the engine and build the capacity. So this is typically how we'll look at it and how we'll build and progress and prepare the body to perform better each session as well as each month and each week that they're training with us. All right, so our last example that I'm going to give is now looking at someone who is, at that strength level, it does have a foundational base, that functional strength base. So this is what it could look like. If you're an individual, have athletes that are hitting 315 plus. So like I said, if you are, a point guard who's 160 pounds and a junior in high school and you can do 315 RM, right? That means that you're probably hitting 2 times, you're almost at 2 times your body weight, 315, right? Could you do 325? Yeah, most likely if you're feeling great and we really want to push the limit. So this is where you can kind of figure out what's going to help you reach optimal results or get optimal results and reach the goal that you want. Anyone that enters my gym, we're going to do some type of acclimation phase, something like a structural balance phase, something just, calming this, the sympathetic nervous system down, building asymmetries and building that foundation again. So we're not going to jump right into PAP training or absolute strength. But this is what it could look like. If you're looking for hypertrophy or getting acclimated, if you're hitting a 3 rep, 3 RM, right? Set 1, you'll still start at 95 because I want to see how you move. I want to make sure things are good that day. And then we'll build up to 185. But again, what we're looking for is that RPE of 6 to 7. So that first week, we're going to hit tempo, 4 to 6 second tempo. We're going to hit that Rpe scale of 6 to 7 out of 10. And then we're going to see where you're at, in that 5 to 7 set range, because, I want to make sure that time is of an essence, like I said before. So that could be 185, it could be 205, it could be 225. But after that first week, if you don't hit the heaviest you could possibly hit and you still feel good, that's all good. Cool with that. And then week 2, Rpe of 7 or 8 out of 10. And that's where that's first set can be 135, and you're going to go all the way up to 195, or maybe even 205 or 225, depending on where you're at. Because again, we're targeting tempo, 4 to 6 second reps or seconds each set or each rep is going to be equivalent to you hitting like 250, 255 with no tempo. But that tempo is going to be a little bit more valuable for you. Week 3, 8 to 9 out of 10, starting with, this should be 135 air on my end. And then set 2, 135, 3, 155, 4, 175, 185, 205 at that tempo again. And then week 4, really going to push the limit to see where you're at. And at that tempo, we could do 6 or 7 sets and going to hit 225 to 235 at that tempo. And then depending on your program, maybe that week 5 is when we're retesting to see where you're at. If we're looking at strength, what you'll see is week 1, 3-second tempo now for strength, starting at 135, building up to 215. So this is, I believe it's roughly about 215. I think it's like 70% is 215. So we're building up around something like that. But again, still similar Rpe scale. Week 2, start at 135, get to 225. Week 3, 135 to 230. Week 4, 135 to 250. And what you see is we're building up. We're not going in and saying, hey, today I'm hitting 250. So you do 135, 225, 250. 3 sets, right? You're strong. If you're at this level, you're pretty strong. Get that potentiation factor. And then if we're looking at absolute strength, that could be 3 to 5 reps. And then we're sitting at that 3-second tempo. So that could be set 1, 135, all the way up to 245 at that 3-second tempo. Week 2, 135 to 255. Week 3, 135, all the way up to 270. So you see hitting 7 sets, 3-second tempo for 3 reps. Week 4, finishing at 280 with that top set at that 3-second tempo. And this, if we get to this point, we're not going to do so many other exercises. We might just do 6 exercises in this workout, or even 5 for time's sake, and also looking at the intensity of these loads on the body. So we really don't want to overdo it. I'm going to get to the PAT piece, but I'm running out of time. So I'll do a quick little video about this PAT and what it could look like. But this is that hypertrophy acclimation, strength, and absolute strength, and how we would build to your top sets so you're moving well, getting good results, and feeling good.